Okay, we're here for a new episode of the Who Art Thou podcast with Adam from Cabin. Adam, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you. I've been, as I was saying before we started recording, been looking forward to this all week. I guess first things first is kind of the easy way to start this, because obviously we know each other from your work with Brass Phantoms. When did Cabin come about, and how did it come about?
Well, first, thank you for having me on, Bar.
You're very welcome.
It's lovely to be here and lovely to chat with you. Yeah, I mean, Cabin kind of came about. It was like 2021. So I'm like speaking to you now from across the Irish Sea in not so merry old London, I suppose, at the moment. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, that kind of when I was with Brass Phantoms and shout out to the lads and lady of Brass Phantoms, God bless them, wherever they are. No, I see them about regularly enough. We were working and we were working away and we were doing all our bits and stuff like that. And we all kind of, as every members, of bands do, have, other draws towards, different sounds and stuff like that. And I was at that time, it was kind of this Venn diagram of crossover or whatever of, getting into, getting experience and all this kind of, and opening up to the music scene in Dublin at the time. And then also being in college and like studying music tech and like kind of slowly building up bits and pieces of like a rudimentary home studio and stuff like that in my shed in the back of my house. And like it was we tried to class it up, it was a shed, but you call it a cabin because it's far more Bon Iver. It's a little bit more like I may be in a shed in a back garden in Finglas, but like right now I am doing forever ago, like in the back, and I'm just feeling myself. So, all that was kind of like late night experimentations and just kind of like stuff that I felt could have gone to Brass Phantoms and like could have broached to the lads, and things I did bring to everybody. But then there was stuff that I'm just like, I don't know. I think this is, I'll just leave this aside. Like there's something there, and it kind of develops like that. And then as time went on and made the decision to move over to London, it was kind of like this moment where I was like, maybe this is a time when I could actually, bring it to the forefront and try it out. Yeah, like nobody knows who I am here. So it became that little kind of, I was moving over here anyway. So try it and see it. And then ironically, as you get excited, as people who have moved out of Ireland probably, know, or even anywhere, if you move out anywhere, you get this feeling where you're just like, I'm here. Let's start this new experience. I'm a new person. I'm ready to go. I got my hair cut. I got all this ready to go. And then I move over in 2019. And if we remember what happened a couple months into 2020, it all just kind of went tits up.
Very quickly as well.
Very quickly, yeah. I think it was like Paddy's Day over in London when we were like, I think I had a couple of days around like Paddy's Day, and I was working in a bar, and then it was like the most depressing Paddy's Day I've ever
I remember being in the WhatsApp group with all my friends, and they were all kind of going, should we chance it? And I was kind of like, well, maybe not. I think that actually, the last day that I went out before it was Vernon Jane's album launch in the Academy.
Hell yeah.
Which would have been an amazing show. And then we go in and there's nobody there, and we were kind of just like it was a half, and it's Academy 1. Yeah. And I kind of got a few messages going like, why the fuck are you at? And I was like, okay, this was a bad idea.
I would see Brittany Howard like literally 3 days or something before it was like official lockdown.
Yeah.
I remember everyone was so on edge, and we were kind of all just standing there, and like it was a pretty decent sized crowd, which I suppose is the sentiment of the English Londoners. They were like, fuck that shite, whatever. But I remember being in a bathroom, and you go to, we've been to many gigs. The hygiene sometimes can be leave a little to be desired.
Yeah.
my God, have I never seen the queues for a sink in all my days in a venue. And some lads just took a piss, walked out, and everybody fucking scolded them. Like, wow, it's mob rule now. It's mob rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's a digression there.
There's gonna be many of those. Don't worry.
Oh, this is gonna be a 3.5 hour podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then everything kind of like, was put on a bit of hold, obviously, and it was really that time for a lot of people, obviously. And I really feel like I nestle myself in with the people who kind of attempted to make like that time isolating and all that kind of stuff, and like being apart to, I tried to put it to as best of my advantage as possible, but everybody try, you try and you try, like, and that's all you can really do. And then it was only by 2021 that I felt like I had this collection of songs, like 4 songs that were probably like resonated the most with me, and felt like, okay, I'm going to work on these and like create something, and like put all these like kind of skills that I've developed to some kind of test, not for anything else other than myself, to see if I was like, I had Greg and James and Ryan and Colleen all kind of with me when it was Brass Phantoms, and it was like, as they would probably attest and agree to, I didn't do a whole lot of the administrative tasks. I was just a pretty drummer sitting in the back, and just being like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's just do this. Yeah, let's just do this, whatever. And then you realize that I have not learned a single thing. And I'm like, oh man, these songs sound great, and I've made them and I've slaved over them, and then I'm like, well, shit, now what do I do?
Yeah, here comes the PR bit.
Yeah, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And then you're also in a new city, a mega city that is like just fucking incomprehensibly massive sometimes, especially
like 11 million people or something, isn't it?
Whatever, like, it's like,
stupid big. Yeah.
It's stupidly big, and you're like, okay, where do I go? So then it was about a daunting yet kind of motivating task, to try and like find just try to find a motivational force behind it. And I think it was just this, like, everything kind of felt like it's a bit of a test for me. It still kind of feels like that. Like everything that I'm, even up to this point, it's been 2021 and now we're like 4 years later, and it's still, everything still feels like I'm kind of testing things out, which is a good thing, which is I think a constant desire to, like, all right, what do I not know? It would have been far easier if I just listened to Greg or Tim or whatever like that. And if they're listening to this, I'm so sorry, lads.
I will forward it on to them.
Forward the message.
Like, for just that section.
I should have paid attention in class, honestly, Lord. But here we are. Well, I mean, and we still move, and it gets a little easier. But then when you kind of feel like you get a bit better at one thing, you're like, God damn, I don't know how to do that thing. Unfortunately, post that, especially around the last year or so, or year and a half, I've started to like meet a whole lot of people here that have like I've really resonated with, and like, form kind of that kind of community of artists who, you feel like you're on equal footing with, and you can learn from, and they can learn from you. And it's an aspect that I think across the board is sorely missed. But when you especially when you're in a place that can feel as cold as London, finding like little communities of people to resonate with, and to bounce off and to learn from has made the whole thing a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, because one of the things that, like, it's funny, I know a few people who moved to London and they've now come back and I know people who've stayed there and stuff. But one of the things they say at the beginning is because it's so massive, it's almost impossible to see people, if that makes sense. So like once you kind of get, I would imagine once you get that group, it's awesome, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really boosted up. I think like I changed job from like a very depressing dead end kind of job. And that will kind of feed into later talking about like where the EPs kind of come from, because they feels like, you know, what I saw and experienced and witnessed and all that kind of stuff through that realm, that kind of side of London, did like end up kind of informing a lot of the stuff that I've put like on this record, or like ideas and themes that I put on like this EP or whatever. And yeah, but moving out of that into like, you know, I work at a record shop now, so it's a lot like it's a lot more like I'm surrounded by it constantly, which be like, oh God, what is this? But it ultimately is just like, you know, it's where you want to be. It's like, this must be the place kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Where you find those people.
Because I know it's because one person who's a very close friend of mine, Zach Stevenson, he who I know you know, he worked in Tower Records, and I remember after while he was working there, the amount of musicians and friends that he made through that store alone was crazy. Absolutely. And then obviously discovering new music as well, because they just put on anything they wanted basically. I would say as it helped informs your work at all in that way.
Oh, without question. Like it is that thing where it's like, whether it's conscious or unconscious or like just through, you know, random osmosis or chance. It just kind of like you go in and I kind of like the idea, and it's always played with, I've always thought about it, about being being the dumbest person in or I always want to kind of be the stupidest person or the most uneducated person. I don't want people to know that, but I also want to be in that position where I'm like, I'm going around and I'm like, here, I'm the newbie, and I'm like, I think I like the music that I like. And then you hear stuff that are just, you know, stuff that you thought, oh, maybe I should have heard, like blind spot stuff that you're like, wow, like where has this been all my life? Or like, then you hear just like the new, this is what's out like today. This is new. This is cutting edge. This is on, and you're like, damn, man, like where did this even come from? What kind of like extraterrestrial like beam just like shot down and like ripped that, like, so it has like informed a lot, and you know, the fact that it's a venue as well that like gigs get put on, it also makes it's funny that it's kind of made it a lot less daunting, you know, because you see the inner workings, and you see from like larger acts that come through to like independent up and coming acts that come through, and you see the dynamic of how everybody works. And it's been a great education, both from the people that I've worked with who are also musicians and also working and also producers and DJs, and how they navigate their realms and their expertise. And then seeing people come in and chatting to all manner of sized artists that come through. It's like, it just makes it more like tangible, I suppose, that you know kind of how it starts to work, or like motifs that come through where it's just like, wow, actually, you know what, the biggest piece of advice I've got it's being nice to people.
Oh yeah.
God. I was going, like, I was in London, I was like, I gotta spit on everybody, and I gotta like slap people's phones out of the way, because it's the tough, cold city, like ain't no love living in the city. I was like, no, apparently it's just being nice to everybody.
Yeah. Do you know, it's from doing this podcast, it's very funny because people come up to me a few times that like have been on, or, you know, that I know through doing it, and they always want to tell me about who's a dick and who's not to get on. It's never because I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want to make my own opinion of people.
Poison that well.
Unless they're a complete bastard. I don't really want to know. But it's so funny. You never hear about who's the nicest guy in the world. Do you know what I mean? Or, you know, it's always like, fuck him.
Yeah, it's like people like, I don't want the well poisoned for me either. You know, I like, what are you gaining from that? It's like when people were like, you know, talking about like Dave Grohl, and he was just like nicest man in rock and roll, and then that stuff came out about like having like an illegitimate child.
I'm burning my Foo Fighters t-shirt.
You see, he's a bad man, and it's like everybody kind of wants to find out that they're a bad person, and that's the weird part of it that I always figured is like, oh no, I've heard this thing, or I've heard this thing, and it's like, oh, okay. If it's bad, now I will say, if they are legitimately like bad people that have done like bad things to people, then you gotta call it out. You gotta,
of course.
But if they didn't thank you for their like for giving them an oat latte, then it's like, all right, you know, they could have had a lot of stuff going on. They could have had no oat lattes that day, or maybe too many oat lattes that day, and they just got a little bit brain fried. It's fine. It's okay.
It's like everybody has to be bubbly and nice at all times, even though that's obviously inhuman. It's not possible. Like, but one of the things, like we're getting sidetracked, but one of the like on that subject, what I always find hilarious is those snark subreddit. Like, I know Reddit isn't the fucking epicenter for culture, but the amount of subreddits that are the amount of subreddits that are dedicated to celebrities and how much like dickheads they are, and it's just, but some of them have more followers than the actual positive one. Like the Taylor Swift one, if you ever want to laugh, is so funny because they call her out on everything that she does to it. Even like, I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, but even to the point that you're kind of like, Jesus, guys, calm the fuck down. Like,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's like, I mean, it's that thing where I feel like at a certain level, it feels like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, you know, death by a thousand cuts kind of situation where it's just like, oh, what I say about Taylor Swift as a lowly little ant, and her, the massive magnifying glass, it doesn't make a difference. But it's also like, want to just like tone it down. Call her out for like taking private jets for like 3 minutes, like that. But she snubbed this person walking to get away from the paparazzi. It's just like, maybe let the woman live and call out the real bad stuff. Yeah,
I always like it. I never, that kind of parasocial stuff, I never really understood why people really care, like really cared. And you're like, you're probably never even going to meet this person, or their actions are never going to affect you in kind of like a personal attack way. Like, obviously, you know, you can like, as you already said, talking about if they do terrible things, which, you know, a few people do, call them out. But it's inconsequential when they do something. It's like, did you believe that they didn't wave to that fan? You're like, oh my God, get over it.
burn them all. Burn all the records.
We're not here to talk about the parasocial celebrity culture.
I know I'm not going to start laying into Taylor Swift because I know how bad that can get with Swifties.
Yeah, and I don't want to get cancelled because those Swifties go hard. But but we're here. Look, you're here to talk about your new EP, Yuppie. There's 2 singles off it so far. I guess before we start talking about the singles, if you were to say how would it? Sorry, I'm tripping up with my own words. What would be the main theme for this EP?
I think it's kind of the idea of, I mean, kind of in the title of it, Yuppie. I've always found it, you know, where I am, and like this is kind of playing into it, where it's like I see, or I have seen and experienced the Yuppie culture far more than I ever did in Dublin, and that's obviously, you know. The massive amount of, or the sheer scale of it, you know, you're just met with that kind of stuff. And it's always kind of fascinated me. Like I was, you know, when I was a angsty teenager, I was like, man, American Psycho is such a cool movie. And then And then you read the book. I read the book and I was like, God, this is so
Book is gross.
horrible.
Yeah, it's
This
awful.
is such a horrible read. I read it before bed once and I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
Because
bad
the
move.
the really long, extended, like boring parts where he's going into hyper detail about things, I was like, they always put me to sleep. And then all of a sudden it's like the worst
Yeah,
horror.
here comes the gerbil scene.
Uh, yeah. And so I always found like that, I always found the themes in that, like the book and the movie and stuff like that, were always fascinating to me. But they always kind of seemed a little bit like, the US or like a particular time in like the 80s and stuff like that, where it was kind of go and like coldness and the sheer, just the sheer fucking
Yeah, I know the corporate kind of.
amorality of it all.
Yeah.
And it was, and like as time went on, you kind of, living here, working around like my old job, working at a bar, which was like near a financial center and a lot of law firms there. And I was kind of like serving, like I worked at a bar and there was a lot of, alternative people who worked at the bar. It was just that kind of thing that had harbored, the alt kids, the, tattoos and colorful hair and creatives who like myself, who I related to and like got on with and, had aspirations. But then you were serving the white shirt, blue suit trousers, the gilets, the sleeveless gilets, and they all look the exact same. And the way that they like spoke to people and treated people, it was like very fascinating to like kind of observe like how people kind of navigated through that and like the little kind of ecosystem almost that you begin to pick up on when you see people, especially, and then when drink is involved, they become kind of caricatures of themselves. And I always kind of found it fascinating because they seemed like non-real people because of like you'd hear the conversations that they're talking about and it like kind of they sounded like robots, and not to hammer too much of a cliche point on it, but you're talking about things that just are going over my little creative artsy
No,
head,
I know
know?
exactly what, because I've seen something similar in that I used to work in Eddie Rockets in Black Rock.
Oh,
Which,
right.
like,
Yeah.
Eddie Rockets is a glorified McDonald's. Like, let's be real. Like, it's
Empty
very
pocket.
it's an overpriced fast food place.
Yeah.
But the clientele that you would get is you'd get teenagers coming in, you get all sorts, because especially it's next to Monkstown, you get loads of people from Monkstown, all kind of stuff, and they were always dead on. The ones that were the rudest were always the suits.
Yeah.
Every time. And they would do things that was inherently rude, like clicking your fingers at somebody. Everybody knows that's rude. And they would do it. And they'd be with their kids and stuff. And you're kind of like, what fucking planet do you live on where you think that's but we didn't ever got them really that drunk, thank God, because we didn't really, we served alcohol.
It's a wild scene. It's
But
a wild
like
scene
when you get them in at like 2:00 in the morning for a burger when they're drunk, you'd kind of get a bit of it. But it's just, I know exactly well, not exactly what you're saying, because I don't want to, but I've seen it myself and just how they interact. You're kind of like, fucking hell. Like, first off, coming into Eddie Rockets in a suit, and, the wife in a dress. I remember we had one couple who came.
You want like a candlelit dinner with
Oh
your
my God. We had one couple who came in with their kids, and it was actually the last customer I ever served. And he was he was really racist to one of the staff in front of his kids, because she was from China and he kept saying she couldn't speak English when she had perfect English. This kind of stuff. But his wife asked, she goes, "Can I see the wine menu?" And I kind of giggled, and I was just like, she was like, "What?" And I was just like, "It's white or red." And she goes, "What?" And I was like, I'm pretty sure the bottle has white or red on it. That's it. It was Blossom Hill. Sorry, it was Blossom Hill. But I just asking for a wine menu in Eddie Rockets, I thought was the funniest thing. But anyway, sorry, you were saying with the thematics of the EP.
But it's just that, yeah, I mean, I think from that point, like I wanted to get out of that place, and I did fortunately get out of that place. But it also around the time I had moved to, because of COVID, we had one place up very, very North London, and we were not a fan of that for a variety of reasons. And we moved out after a year, and we moved into this place in just right like on a couple of roads outside of Canary Wharf, which is like the big, one of the big financial centers of the city. Side note, when we moved here, my partner, her ma rang her after we moved in, and it was just like it was like, oh yeah, we got this lovely spot in like Canary Wharf, and she's like, Canary Wharf. Ah, yeah, I remember that. The IRA bombed that night.
Yeah, honestly, that's exactly what I was thinking as well.
Like, yeah, and I'm like, that's exactly what we need. We move in and we plant our flag right here. Like, can't get rid of us, man.
I didn't want to say it. It was one of the first things that I thought of as well.
I was like, I'm sneaking back in, or we're sneaking ourselves back in. But like, we got in here because it was like, because we, it was COVID, and like everybody's just everybody exodus out of Canary Wharf because no one's staying in the office. So the market rate was like plummeted. So all like decent apartments were like kind of being let out for cheap, and we were more than happy to
absolutely
jump on that,
especially in London.
So then, absolutely, yeah. So we were very, very fortunate amidst a lot of people being incredibly unfortunate at that time as well, and a lot of people that we knew like moving back to Dublin because it was not sustainable, or it was just it made more sense to move back. But then living in this area, you see another side then, because obviously there's all the like people running to and from the rat race, all that kind of stuff, and the hustle and the bustle of it. But you also see like this being a part of it, and like going to the same, like doing your general shopping in a supermarket or whatever, and seeing these people kind of living their lives. You kind of also start to like, you have this one, I had this one image embedded in me from my experience of it. And then you see like, you're kind of forced into their other worlds of like the humanity of these people who are kind of coming in here and like who are operating around this place. And then like on an individual level, seeing like people who are, who are these kind of young urban professionals, who are these yuppies kind of going about, and like the meeting them and chatting to them every now and again, and being like, these ideas started to merge in my head of like, how do people like live in this one sphere and kind of have this mindset of this like constant grinding out, and constant like fight to the top, and like will cut people down. You see the show, they make TV shows about it, they make books about it, they have all, loads of people have talked about it at length about like the callousness of it. But also you talk to these people, and on an individual level, there is like humanity there for the person, and I found that really interesting as like a thing. And they all kind of like, all these ideas started melding around. And as I started like trying to get like write again, like I'd put out those collections of songs that started the project off. And then I was trying to find like, just really kind of experiment with like little bits. Cause again, like the music element of working in a record shop, it just does that to you. You hear one thing and you're like, I'm going to make a song like that. Or you hear another thing, you're like, I'm going to make a song like that. And then it all started like over time, over the course of like a couple of months, all these ideas started like swirling around together, and it all started to take like this kind of shape in my head, whether it comes out on the EP where everyone's like, oh yeah, makes sense. But in my head, it just kind of started to meld into like, there's my own experiences of it, and like my own kind of feelings of like the burnout that a city like this can do to you, and the constant, constant barrage of like everything has to be like shoved in your face and like,
Yeah, sensory overload almost.
sensory overload. And like one of the big tourist attractions when you go to London for anyone who's never been before, they're like, I got to see Piccadilly Circus, which is just it's just a square where it's just like, look at all these fucking screens, bro. Nike, Coca-Cola, and it's just like it's like blind, like it's a blinding thing, and it's really interesting that like these are aspects of the life that people kind of live in this city and like take home, like it becomes part of their life.
I've been to London like 6 or 7. I've been to London a lot, but I've never actually been to Piccadilly Circus, weirdly enough. But the thing that the kind of like, because
I'm gonna say it now, it's overrated.
Okay. But like the thing that always that got me about London, which was the first thing I remember going over with my girlfriend at the time, and the first thing I noticed was like, fuck, there is so many people here. Yeah. And that was just, and everywhere we went, it was like, oh my God, there's so many people. And it was just kind of, you're kind of looking left and right. I just couldn't, even like I've traveled a good bit now and nothing comes close to London in my opinion. I've never been to the States, but nothing comes close to London in terms of just.
It's an over the top city.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But then all of that kind of came piecing together, and all that kind of, I think as it flows, it's both a kind of look at my thoughts of like this kind of yuppie culture and like both the kind of like evilness of it, if you wanted to use that term, because as time goes on and as time has been shown over the last like couple of years, the world has been not doing the best.
No.
One would argue, and to my mind, without like going down a whole political tangent or whatever, is like, we have this like state of like corporate oligarchy that comes about a lot, and people throw that kind of talk around as well. So it was finding like these ideas of how can people live, and it's not like part of it is a critical aspect or criticizing people for doing that kind of stuff. But it's like, how can people live this life where they're trying to just make, do good? And I believe that people are always like just trying to do good deep down, whether it manifests in whatever kind of way. Well, I'll put an asterisk beside that, but we won't get into that.
It just in kind of it's now this is a very extreme example, but I read something recently that I thought was quite interesting, which was Christoph Waltz when he was playing Hans Gruber in Inglourious Bastards. He was asked by, I can't remember who asked him. He was on some chat show and somebody asked him, what was this? How do you play such an evil villain? Yeah. In the film in Inglourious Bastards, and he goes, he's not a villain. In his eyes, he's not a villain. Yeah. And that's kind of the way you have to think about it. People genuinely do believe that they're seeing, even if they're the biggest pieces. I don't think there's anybody out there that's like, unless you're like some weird fucking satanic band. Yeah. I think, but for the most part, they're just like, they do. People do think they're doing what they're doing is the thing what's right, which is sometimes you look at it, you're like, that is so fucking unbelievable that you think that. Yeah,
exactly. And like that, that's
an extreme example, by the way. Obviously, he's a Nazi. Like,
I want to go on record and say they are bad. I'm covering all my bases here. Hell yeah.
The Who Art Thou podcast does not endorse.
Now, from a message of our reform sponsors here, Christ. But yeah, I mean, it's like, you see all the stuff that kind of comes by, like that has been going on, and a lot of the people that I spoke to or have met like briefly or had some interactions with, who I would qualify as this yuppie character or these yuppie characters that I think about. I'm like, it's interesting finding you working in a space that, to my mind, feels like constantly damaging to society or like people's ideas about themselves or their own mental health, or constant barraging, constant like at any chance kind of needing to advertise to people or wearing people's minds down ultimately, but also on the other hand, being like, you know, also kind of frustrated with like the world, and also like wanting to be as good as they can, and like the dichotomy of that,
Dichotomy of it, yeah.
you know. And I found that quite interesting, and like it manifested, I suppose, a little bit in myself, because you know, you try and be as good as possible, and then you start thinking about your own life and and like what are the things that I'm like doing that are participating in this, you know, in this like, you know, late stage capitalism. There's the buzzword that we were all waiting for. And like, what do I do and how am I contributing? And like looking at, you know, the music industry and like the woes of the music industry, and seeing like a lot of that firsthand, being in the position now, and seeing a bit more upfront here, and like worrying to myself, am I a yuppie as well? I'm young, I'm urban. Maybe that's a questionable statement, but I'm hardly professional actually. So I think that's my safety net. But yeah, it all kind of manifested into that, and kind of became this, yeah, these collections of like thoughts about these kinds of people through the perspective of either myself or like a kind of fictitious character. Like the new single is kind of like just this, you know, this manifestation, this like evil, like little kind of trickster manifestation of these kind of corporate yuppies who are just like, we're doing this, like, you know, we know what we're doing and we're a little sneaky, but like we're really nice, but we're not really nice, you know, and it's all that kind of thing.
Sure, we might as well talk about It's All Over For You now. I love this song. I really do. One of the main characteristics that I really like about it is like, as you just explained the song there, the production on it and the instrumentation on it is so sunny is the word that I would use. It's so bright, and like it sounds like a beautiful song, and then you're kind of just like, wait a minute, the lyrics. Just take us through kind of like where that song came from.
It actually started God, where did it start from? It started from like I like most of the tracks that kind of come about of like just kind of fucking around with. I think I got like this like Arturia like little MK2.
Oh, lovely.
The little MIDI keyboard, and I think I got a bundle which was like a collection. I think it was like the analog. I think they had like an Arturia synth collection. I was just fucking about with these things, and I think I was listening. Now I think I actually, if I remember right, I was listening to like Thumper's debut album.
Class, great album.
And I for some reason I just had it like playing on the speakers, and I was like fucking around with it, and I for the life of me I can't remember what part of the album it was, but like I was just going, I was playing around, and I was just doing like bip 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 bip, like just to kind of jam, because I was like, I think I was isolating. So I was like I'm on my own, and like my girlfriend's not going to jam with me. She's like trying to watch her shows. And I'm like fucking around. And I just started like jamming with the Thumper lads. I'm gonna and I think that like and then I think I was like, oh, hang on, actually that's kind of chirpy. That's kind of chirpy. And then I think I paused the album to like, I'll just like note that down, or I'll just like record it, and then carried about my day. And then it always kind of was like, it was a little bit of an earworm for me, that I was just like, okay, yeah, like let's make this. And then it got in, like I just kind of found a bit of a groove, like listening to like, Talking Heads or something like that. And what, one little piece from like a Talking Head song like found its way into that little thing. So then they just kind of like pieced them together. I was like, hey, that's like, all these little bits. So it got to a little groove, but, for a little bit, I was just like, this isn't what I'm going to do. This is not like this is not the sound. I don't know what the fucking sound of Cabin is, but I was like, this isn't it. No, it's a very like, maybe I'll have this in the back pocket, and maybe I could like start songwriting with somebody who's a bit more pop centric, and like maybe I'll pass it along to them, and they might know what to do with it. But I was always just like, it is fun. It is fun to me, and it was always just like, it always like stuck with me. And then, I was kind of completely unrelated to it. I was, getting into this kind of woes about advertising, and I was being just a cantankerous old bastard, really, where I was just like, everything.
There's too many ads.
There's too many ads now. I'm just trying to watch a YouTube video, and it's like the ad is longer than the YouTube video I'm trying to watch, like kind of thing. And I was getting really, just being a fucking monkey old bastard.
To be fair though, ads have gone fucking crazy.
They're gone crazy.
Like I was working on a website recently, and we were kind of going through, we were trying to get a mood board for a new website, to update a website. And we were, it's like, we're like, where is the ads going to go? Like the Google ads. And I was scrolling through, it was Pitchfork's website, and there was like 9 ads on it for one album review. And I was like, that's far too many. That's crazy. Like, and the Irish Times is the same. If you read the Irish Times website, as you're scrolling through an article, every little bit is just, there's a new leaderboard, and then there's an ad on the side as well. And you're kind of like, I get it, AIB. Like, how many times do you have to advertise the bank?
And it's like, yeah,
it's so in your face. It's not subtle at all. In
your face. And like, even here, like seeing the kind of ads that come about for London and stuff like that, like on the tube or all this kind of stuff, they're rogue stuff, because it's like, there's so many people, it's so niche. So some of these things are just like, like I've seen the one, I don't know if it's over in Dublin, I haven't seen it yet. It's just like, there's one for, I think it's a software, or it's an app called Amicable, which is just like how to have like a sound divorce. Like if you're going to divorce your partner, here, use our app. It's the best way to do it.
Imagine to get a divorce by app.
Yeah, imagine just like, oh, your partner has sent you a message. It's like
one of the meanest divorces I ever heard was Phil Collins allegedly divorced his wife. She found out she was getting divorced because he faxed her the divorce papers.
It's like super slow. It's like,
oh, it's from Phil.
The fax machine sounded like the drum fill in the air tonight as well, which was actually pretty harsh. But yeah, like there's fucking weird ads, and
that's a really weird one. An app for divorce.
It's like the ads as well are just like, you could do this, and it's like, spray painting the person's car saying like cheater on it, or like get your mad to like send photos of the kids being like, stay together for the kids, or you could do this and you could use Amicable. And I'm like, that's crazy. This is a crazy world that we live in. So then
I don't know how to feel about that. That's really weird.
No, it's so bizarre. So bizarre. Well, now you and your listeners know that if any of you need to get a divorce, this podcast
the next sponsor
by Amicable. Christ. Christ alive. But yeah, I mean, I had loads of thoughts about, it was mainly just angry thoughts about fucking all these advertisements. And then I was just like thinking about these things, and I kind of felt like I wanted to, in my angsty time, at some point I was just like, I'm gonna stick it to like just like free writing about like just my thoughts on it, like weird like things that people like, the history of advertising, and like all the Mad Men stuff and all.
Mad Men stuff is great. Like I work as a graphic designer, so we you would check that kind of stuff. The Mad Men stuff is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, it's fascinating. Like, it's that kind of thing of like know your enemy kind of situation. Yeah. So, I had those things, and whatever way the brain works or creativity works or whatever, I was just like, I had these thought of like this character of just like a devilish little madman who is just like, what if it was all like actively purposeful, which to a lot of degree it is actively.
It is, yeah.
Of just like, but not even so much the like we're just trying to sell you something. It's like we're actively trying to just put you down, you know, where it's like, it doesn't, rather than it being kind of amoral about like, oh, we're just trying to sell you this, like free market. We're just like, if you want to buy this, here you can buy this, and we're going to advertise it so you can buy it. What if they were like, actually, we just want to make you feel bad about yourself.
Beauty ads are like that. Like, did you ever see O's beauty ads? And like, I am quoting Marlon Manson, he was a terrible person, but he made a point in Bowling for Columbine. He's like, look at fucking beauty ads. It's like, if you don't wear the deodorant that you're wearing, people won't sleep with you, or if you don't wear this cream, you're ugly. And like, you can look those ads up. They did exist. Absolutely. Like, and it was like, it's make you feel like complete shit. So you have to go out and buy the product straight away.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that, like, you know, I know I'm not really running on new territory here, but it was like, it definitely, like, I'm adding to a pool of, you know, advertisement commentators, all, you know, through history and stuff like that. And I think it was just that thing of like, let me have this little character. And, you know, as the new EP kind of started to form, and then starting getting into thinking about like, oh God, the marketing and the brain melt that is like trying to release music, especially as like an independent artist, and like with just doing everything yourself, like the emails that you send out and like the press releases that you write up and the music videos that you make and all that kind of stuff. It was like, how am I supposed to put a song about advertising? How do I slyly sneak a song about like, this thing is fucked in? And then like, you're just like, oh, wait a minute, I have a chirpy little pop song that is like such an earworm, and I'm like, you know what, just put them together. Just put them together, you know. And just like, it's kind of, I didn't even mean for it to be, because I don't think it comes across as like an insidious little like,
no, well, I might have gone overboard, but
but it's
but if you do listen to it, you know that it, like the chorus alone, it's all over for you now. Do you know, like that cannot be used in a super positive.
It's fairly upfront. And I just finished the music video for it,
Lovely.
Which should be out in the next couple of days, hopefully.
Sick.
From time of recording. But you know, it's like, and like a lot of the imagery in the press releases kind of ended up stemming from this track. Like everything that kind of was built around the idea of Yuppie is kind of stems from this track, and like the recording and the making of it, where it's like this just mischievous little Yuppie person who's just trying to cause in the world.
Because on the visualizer, is it Times Square or is that Piccadilly?
No, it's Piccadilly.
That is Piccadilly. Is that Piccadilly? Okay.
Yeah.
I you know, because I had a question about I love one of the things that I noticed first off when you started Cabin was those collage images that you did with the kind of mad. Do you make those images yourself?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But the new imagery now for both singles, for Grind and for this one, they're lovely. They're really, really, really nice. So I was just wondering who did them, but I was going to assume it was yourself.
It was me as well. Yeah. And I would never bloody claim to be a graphic designer by any stretch. I'm leaving that to people like yourself, like the professionals. But it's this thing. It's a mix of, you know, it had some kind of like artistic desire, you know, beyond music or whatever like that. And also it's just been an absolute fucking cheapskate. Like
it's so expensive to do artwork for people.
Yeah. And it's like, but it's like, you know, I absolutely hope and desire, if anything, that like I could earn enough to like bring all these creatives, like fuck off with the, you know, the PR people, or fuck off with the like, you know, all the businessy aspect of it, you know, I'll like, fuck that. I wanted to be in a position where I can like collaborate. Like I'll provide the music and you give me the artwork, or like you put like, we'll just merge things together. Yeah. And it came from a time where it was like, one, I have an idea and I want to try and see if I can put it out. If I'm doing everything else myself, I might as well try and do that. but also it was like, you know, I really feel like I couldn't, like I knew a lot of artists, or I've met a lot of artists, and I'm like, I can't just be this scrote who's just come over. It's like, will you do like a little picture for me? But I'm as strapped as you are that to pay for it. I don't want to like, I wouldn't want to pull people along or drag people along.
Yeah, it's kind of like, because I still get asked every so often to do something for somebody, and then like I obviously I'm not going to charge somebody an arm and a leg, but every so often you kind of go, yeah, so like, what are we going to do the fee? And they were kind of like, oh, I was kind of thinking you would do it for like, and you're just like, no.
Yeah.
Do you know have any idea how long that takes to do?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it was an insecurity as well, where I'm just like who all these terrific artists, they're not going to waste their time on this little thing. So it was kind of like all these like things that maybe if I went back I would consider or reconsider or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I had the like for the artwork for the current singles, then it would just kind of came about where it really started like it started going into this tunnel vision of like all these aspects that I could pick from, looking into these like just kind of observing like in the wild these yuppies. And then I came across this.
The way you say it makes
like
them sound like wild animals.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Just because you have a gilet on doesn't make you any less of a bore. Which we will leave it at that. But yeah, I came across, as we were doing that, I came across like really old. I don't know how old it actually was. Like Windows, it wasn't XP, or maybe it was 95, or one of the Windows installments where it was clip art, like
Vista.
Really, maybe it was Vista. It was like proper, like really of its time clip
I know
art.
the one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because like my nana would have a computer that would kind of upgrade as we went along, because my uncle worked in software, so you got 98, and then we kind of went up and up and up. Yeah,
and I saw this collection of like these clip art things that were real like corporate art, and especially around here, corporate art began to like fascinate me, and it was like what it feels like these things are rubbing.
What do you mean by corporate art now, by the way, just out of curiosity?
Because corporate art, because I find it fascinating, because there's in Canary Wharf, you walk around and the foyers of like JP Morgan or the Swiss Bank and stuff like that, you'll see these gorgeous statues and gorgeous.
Oh no, yeah, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And like commissioned by people, commissioned by very, very talented artists, and it's a weird like. I always wondered like, what's the motive for like Credit Suisse having like this like abstract artwork there. And then you go further, and then you kind of from that it kind of led me to like looking at like other corporate art, and then I think my dad has in his house like this, it's this corporate art that's like motivational posters, like
I hate those so
the best, and it's like these kind of stick figures or like silhouetted figures like climbing a mountain or something like that. Or
yeah, my old job had them all along the walls. They were all kind of motivational quotes and stuff, and I was like, does anybody read that and go, yes, I want to improve my day by seeing some guy?
I got you, stick man. Here together. But then I saw and then I seeing the corporate art like Vista or XP or whatever it was, I was like, this is so interesting, because they're cartoonish and they are like very, very minimalist and simplistic, but they're just like, they're actually really well done in a way. Like the minimalism of them is like kind of like it like this weird flow of like the arms and the weird like curvature of like it's unnatural. It's not like obviously trying to represent like human figure accurately, but there's something about it that flowed, and it like kind of danced. Like a lot of the things that I saw, they were like dancing around, and I was like, this is really like fun to see. Like this is like the chirpy, cheerful aspect to people who are just throwing like I need to find out who the artist was of it. I feel like I saw the name when I came across, but I need to.
Did you ever see the stuff that Paul Rand did for IBM? He was a Swiss designer, and they had him doing all these fun ads for IBM, which is like one of the biggest banks in the States. And I can't help but love it. Like it's absolutely gorgeous, really fun, really playful stuff. But then you're like, it's one of the biggest banks ever, who obviously probably fucked over a lot of people to get to the position that they're in. Like
this is the thing that you find, like and like how people in those positions, how companies as a whole, not to like anthropomorphize or give personality to a company, but like people deciding to like use or commission artists. You know, I'm sure you experience that as well, like commissioning art for like purposes that feel like, you know, are kind of flying the face of art sometimes.
Yeah.
In a way. I mean,
I've got asked to do some weird stuff before.
Yeah.
Like my dad runs a Catholic radio station, and occasionally he asks me to do posters for campaigns that go against what I believe in, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And I never do them. And he's just like, "Why won't you?" It's just I was like, because I don't agree with this cause. Like,
and it's like all these ideas of like just, you know, art and business, I suppose, just like slapping together, and it really is a lot of like it's far more an interesting like thought thing for anyone, like anyone who's listening as well, just to think about it, you know, far more interesting to think about than even the EP that I made about it. I didn't even scratch the surface on all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I saw those like pictures, and I was like, these are so playful, these are so lovely, and someone like I could picture somebody just like having such a good time and like adding this kind of whimsy to it that people for the most part will use in like boring ass PowerPoint presentations about like this or that they're just like, I need to add this thing in to just add some kind of like pizzazz so people don't fall asleep or something. I know
exactly what you mean.
And it's like it just felt really weird, and I thought maybe it's not the best metaphor for putting it as artwork for my for my music, but yeah, there was something maybe a little bit like self-deprecating. I was like, okay, I'm gonna slap this kind of stuff on my single artwork as so people don't fall asleep.
And it works. It works.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you about Grind, because I love that song. I particularly love the guitars on it. I'm going to assume what that song's about is just the daily grind of these people. Yeah. But like this, because there's such great moments in it. Like particularly, like I love that part with the fucking fast guitar and the drums and stuff. Yeah. Like where did that kind of, from a musical structure point, where did that song come from?
That came from I think it was like this. You know, back to the different kind of music influences that kind of came about. You know, you'd hear one thing, you'd hear another thing, you'd hear another thing. That was just, you know, I've always been kind of I suppose there's a duality of, I think all of us have it, to be honest. So I'm not special in that regard, that we'll have the moments of, listening to our like Fionn Regan End of History and just being like, kiss me away, Fionn, to I want to just listen to some absolute cacophonous noise. Yeah. Or, you know. And then in the middle, you know, I've always been like just loving some good old fashioned just rock and roll and some garage rock and a lot of the like garage psych and stuff like that. And like the big influences being like Ty Segall and you know, OCs and stuff like that. And like just having, I think the last track that I put out before the new EP stuff kind of work was like a love ballad, you know, it was from a partner. So I, you know, wrote this like kind of, you know, adding like freaking strings and all this kind of malarkey. And it was like, that's cool. And then you listen back and you're like, I just want something that's just like,
Raucous.
that's just like, you know,
Yeah.
'cause that's what I love. And I'm like, it's this thing of, I think I remember, who was it? I can't remember. Was it Josh Homme who said it? Either way, it was basically like, it's easier to go go soft, making soft music after like coming, like people know you's making hard music and then you make soft music is easier than making soft music and then you try and make hard music and people are like, I don't believe you.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. And I was like, not that I thought anything was like super soft, but definitely it was this thing, like this thinking to myself that I love this fast paced, like fuzzed, like overdriven, like just, you know,
Yeah.
you know, just all that kind of stuff. And basically just like, can I contribute to that? Can I do that? Can I take part in that? And like, you know, I think I saw Thumper live in London when they came over. There's another shout out for the Thumper lads. And it was just like, yeah, I was like, those guys are just hard rocking.
Yeah, they are kind of like they're kind of one of those bands you're like, that's a rock band. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no bullshit about them. It's like, that's a rock band. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just like two fucking drummers, man, let's go. You know, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then as well, like, you know, Oisin has like Animo Drive as well now.
Yeah, gorgeous music.
That's some gorgeous music. So that I was seeing that happen where you're just like, oh yeah, you can fucking do both. So I'm gonna do both. And then you just it just kind of came out of that where it's just like a riff came about, that kind of bip boop bip part came about, and it's just like, fuck it, let's just jam with myself, because they're all jams with myself really. And it was just kind of like they become little challenges, I suppose. You know, as a producer, it was the only thing that kind of kept me working at it, which was like, you'd hear a type of song and you're like, could I do that? Could I do a version of that? Could I do my own take on that? And, you know, like a lot of other people, that's kind of where it is. And I feel like what has come about then with the EP is a collection of different experiments as well, strictly from a music point of view, like trying to have a theme course through the EP, but also, you know, each track is somewhat of a bit of an experiment of like
of its own thing, essentially.
Yeah, can I do like a garage rock song? Can I do a little fucking pop song? Can I do this kind of? Can I write a string section as well? Like, which is, I think, the next single
Nice.
that's coming out is, you know, just before the EP drops. You know, that has elements of that coming in. So like all these little bits that hopefully sound like, you know, broad ranging as opposed to a mishmash. I think that's really the worry, and that's the goal for me, is to like, can they all sound like standalone songs that are different to one another, but at least have a like slight thread of cohesion together that is like, that was really interesting. I preferred that, you know, and it happened, and it gives me some kind of hope that the gigs that I've played with a full band now over the last while, like have gotten people being like, oh, I really like this song. And then other people were like, oh, I really like this song. Or like, this one was my favorite, or this one was my favorite. And them being different songs as opposed to
all the same song.
Everybody, either they're all the same song, or like, this song is the best song and everything else is shit. So, and everybody agrees like this one song is good.
I would imagine as a creative that's probably one of the most disheartening things, where you just hear it's just one song. You're like, there was like fucking 10 other ones.
Yeah. What did you think of everything? That one was great. That one was good. Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
What's it like writing string section actually? But that would be
Really,
very much
really
out of your
hard.
comfort zone, would it? I was going to say
Say again?
I would say that's very much out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and it like,
Yeah.
I mean, the jury is will be out, I suppose, if, how much I achieved in that. But you know, I think it was just like how I don't know where, like it didn't come from a classical background, obviously. You know, I'm not classically trained, and in anything really, I suppose. But it kind of came from it did come from a rock perspective as well, which is it came from that kind of grandiose, like grandiose era of, you know, fucking the 70s
Queen.
ballads and stuff like that. Yeah, a little bit like Queen, Elton John,
Okay.
you know, all that kind of glamorousness of it. And like, but also the subject matter of it is something that is not so glamorous.
Okay.
So it's kind of that again, that constant like friction between it. So you're talking about one thing that's not so much a glamorous place, but you're adding like some glamour to it with the strings and all the like the bells and whistles, and like it's tough because you're like, I kind of I was doing it from like you know, you get your pads and your melodies and like you're trying to piece this fake thing, because I don't have access to an orchestra. I have a MIDI key, a big MIDI keyboard, and like, you know, a good intention.
Samples.
And that's about it, you know.
Yeah.
you try and build up, and you try and take as much reference as possible, and try and make something a little bit bigger than the sum of its parts. And that was kind of the mentality I went in with it, trying to like write a string section. Like everything is, you know, trying to have a little bit of like understanding about how an orchestra actually works, but then trying to like, you kind of almost throw that out the window when you're just like, you know, these trumpets on this Hans Zimmer score sound like otherworldly, and I have this MIDI keyboard that goes,
What's
like,
fair, if you're reaching for like Hans Zimmer straight away, you're gonna, like, you know, the man.
oh,
works
reach
with,
for the
like,
stars, man. Reach for the star, or reach for the moon and be happy when you fall amongst the stars, or something like. I can't remember. I'm not.
That's a lovely quote. I've never heard that before.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna try and butcher Oscar Wilde or something like that, or whoever it was.
Sounds like Oscar Wilde.
It sounds poncy.
Bloody
Oscar Wilde, the bloody yuppie. Christ. But yeah, I mean, like we'll see how that turns out. I think
looking forward to it.
But you know, sure. Look, well, I think I'm friends a little bit with Mr. Garrett Quinn Redmond, who is quite a gorgeous ambient composer, violin player, and a ripper on guitar, which he doesn't do a whole lot. So if Gareth, if he hears this, just keep ripping on that guitar, brother. But he makes some incredible compositions, and if he if I send it to him and he's like, actually, I'd say that came together, and I'll be like,
actually
came together. Who'd have thought? But yeah.
But Adam, when is the EP out? Just before we move on to these silly questions that I always do at the end.
Oh hell yeah! December 5th is
December 5th. Yeah,
right before people stop caring.
Our Lord's birthday.
right before just the cusp, because it was like I hemmed and hawed, and it took a lot of like pushing from a lot of people in my life to be like, just
get it out.
Just get it out, man. Like it's done. Stop. And I was like, it's gonna be out before 2025 is over. And wouldn't I have picked, in typical me as a constantly like just in time kind of thing, right before everything just shuts off, I'm just like, oh, here it is, and then you kind of run away with it.
Yeah, that's kind of like the last, I think, like, yeah, the week after is kind of like, I'm doing family stuff now, leave me alone.
Like, yeah, I'm off. Like every email I send out is out of office. I was like, yeah, well, that's fair enough. So it was like right before.
Lovely. Now, so this is the part. So it's just it's about just, I call it drunk questions I'd ask you at a bar, because I genuinely did ask people these questions. The first one that I always start with is, what was the first and last album that you ever fell in love with?
First and last album that I fell in love with. I think the first album I fell in love with was very much American Idiot, Green Day.
Nice, yeah.
Hell
You'd be
yeah.
amazed how much that gets mentioned, by the way.
Absolutely.
Such a monumental record for people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where it's funny because like now I've made this reference before, but it's like now that I try and be as like active as possible as I can be in like the world and try and do good and like be politically minded and conscious. I just think back to that fucking dorky little kid who was like fucking 12 or 13 and like, man, politics is so boring. I don't care about politics. And then you put your headphones on. I was like, don't want to be an American.
Yeah.
You're like,
I don't like that Bush fella.
I don't like politics. I don't care for politics. And I'm listening to like a rock opera about like the political.
One of the most politically charged albums that made it into mainstream music at the time.
Easily. I watched a terrific video about I think it was Lindsay Ellis did a video about protest music of the Bush era, and like that stands head over heels like as like stands way above the rest as like the pivotal one. And like, you know, there's so many aspects of that, like from
Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, it's like everything around that. And then like that album in particular was just, in terms of like the production as well, it was like the first time I really started to like notice like how things like felt in size. Like this thing felt absolutely massive.
Like, what, 4 people playing?
It was 4 people playing, and like I think Chris Lord-Alge was mixing it. He might have produced it as well, but like the sound of those guitars are just massive. The sound of the drums are just, you know, it's just everything is just absolutely gargantuan, and you feel all of it, and like the melodies and the more, you know, the emo parts of it that still hit me to this day. Like,
well, I was blown away to find out, because I remember watching Podge and Raj of all shows, and they had this Irish opera singer on, and they started singing "I Walk a Lonely Road." And I was just like, why the fuck are they singing Green Day to this famous opera singer? And then I was like, wait, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, that part's a cover, essentially? It's part of an old opera? I was like, what the fuck? By the way, before anybody comments, I'm very well aware that there's only 3 people in Green Day, but they had a 4th hidden member who was in the band. So before I get a comment, fuck off. I know what I'm talking about.
Very cool is like 2 people. He's like the ability of 2 people. He's I remember that was like one of the big first gigs as well I had gone to. It was not the American Idiot tour. It was the 21st Century Breakdown tour.
I think I saw them on that. No, I actually didn't see Green Day for a good bit. Anyway, sorry, go on.
No, it was just more, I was like, that was the first gig. So Green Day has a special place in my heart as like both the first album that I really like became like, it was part of my identity.
Yeah.
And like learning, like getting into learning to play guitar, and my brother showing me like, oh, you know, it's just like these chords, like these power chords, and it's just like you're just trying to learn everything.
That was the best part about it. You could play it. You could play it very easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I remember learning how to play the bass, and it was actually Zach who was my teacher. He gets mentioned way too much on this podcast, but I
saw him like 2 weeks ago for Prince played in the shop, and really lovely to see him. Shout out my boy.
I couldn't say a bad word about him even if I tried. A friend of mine was like, say one bad thing about Zach. I was like, he's too nice. That's it.
He's too tall.
But
he's taller than I am. And I don't like.
But he was teaching me Blink songs, and I was just like, holy fuck, these are like super easy. And he was just like, yeah. It's punk. That's what's great about it. Its simplicity works best.
Beautiful. Yeah. And like, you know, it started that thing of just like, you know, maybe I could do that. You know, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was the first, and I think it will always be.
Yeah, great pick.
it would always be in there. The last album that I fell in love with, I think would have to be, I think it's Geese. Geese
This is crazy how much this band is getting mentioned. Is it? Are they
yeah,
actually
it's
that
like,
good?
well, now I'm not going to say the last, like the newest album, although I do think that album is very, very, very good.
Okay.
But their album 3D Country, because I'm kind of also like a new convert to Geese.
I still haven't yet listened to it yet, but this is like the fourth podcast in a row that somebody's mentioned them as the go-to album.
Like, this is it. This is it. Like it's Cameron Winter's world, and we're all just fucking living it.
I did love heavy metal, as I've said many times. I loved heavy metal, so I don't know why I haven't given Geese a go yet. But
I would recommend like 3D Country is probably like, it has that like. There's something about it that it is just like this like mishmash of well, not even mishmash, but I suppose that's the wrong term, but like this whole pot of ideas that all tickle my brain in just the right way, where it's like it has the really catchy melodies of like any good indie rock song, and it also has this cacophonous energy of just pure noise that scratches my brain in the right way, and just that hard rock and groove as well. That it all hits these cylinders for me. That is just like, damn! Like when you think it's going one way, you're caught in this like earworm. All of a sudden, it's just, and you're like, oh shit, man! Like, and why do I love this? Why, like, I can't get enough of it. So that album in particular, it's like it was over the last couple months, you know, like listening and discovering and just hitting that album, and you're just like, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Everything nonstop all the time. And it like really sounds great. It's weird, but not too weird, and it's inaccessible.
Yeah.
It's all these little buttons that it's just pushing.
Oh, I'll be checking it out tonight. Best live act you've seen recently?
Best live act I have seen recently. Who did I go see recently?
Now, I say recently, it could be at the beginning.
What's my time frame here?
No, you can do it like literally just, it can be a year ago, it can be 6 months ago, it can be last week. It's up to yourself. Basically, just when you think of a recent show that you went to, you're just like, what was that?
I think there was one actually I went to a couple of months back. I feel like my time frame's a little bit off, but I went to see a band called Plantoid.
Okay, I don't know them.
Check out Plantoid. They're fucking, like, shout out to Plantoid. They are just like obscene musicians, And I saw them when they played in the shop, and I was just kind of like, I'm either working or I'm like kind of like hanging back chatting to friends that I work with. This one, I was just like, I'd heard their record and I had been like, oh, they're playing, I'll go check them out. I really liked it. And I stood right in the center, and they were like, hey, they walked up and they were like, hey, we're just going to play the whole album in full. I hope that's all right. And then they just went into this like, non-stop, like, it's like this mix of psychedelic rock with prog rock with like elements of like jazz fusion. I suppose that's the prog.
Oh wow,
like,
that sounds unreal.
Adds this element of like Hiatus Coyote and this like R&B neo soul kind of vocals and like influences that come through there. And I was just like, stood there for like 45 minutes, just like, what the fuck? What is this? What is this magic? And I was just like, I immediately like bought the record and went over to them. I was like, can you sign this? I just want to have this
just
thing.
To have. Yeah.
Like, you just like blew me away, like absolutely captivated. And then it's either that or I just remember as I spoke, the other one, which was seeing a more grander production, seeing Father John Misty in the Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
It was
some show.
And it was like, it was the day before I went back to Dublin for my 30th birthday. So it was this kind of like, it was this whole experience of like, me and my partner have a very mutual love that kind of like connects us to Father John Misty, and seeing him in this like grand stadium or
gorgeous.
grand venue, and it's just like him just absolutely crushing it from everything, like his whole back catalog of just like, damn, it's something special.
Pretty sick. I've never seen him now. I've been a fan of him for quite some time, and I somehow have never gotten to see him. So I have to go. Cool. I've only heard amazing things about him.
He's too cool. Like I've heard a friend of mine in work actually. She is not very much a fan of his, and it's like this thing. She's like, I don't know, I don't like him. It feels like when he sings and plays, he's like a leader of a cult, and he's like, like trying to like bring people in. And I'm like, hell yeah! And I have drank the Kool-Aid on that. I am like there, and I'm gonna go again. So yeah.
Comparing Father John Misty to Jim Jones is fucking crazy.
And also kind of apt. I think you also.
Well, they both wear sunglasses.
They both look cool as shit in sunglasses. Say what you want about Jim Jones, man. Dude rocked a pair of Wayfarers. Like
one of my most annoying thing that I've seen about, because like I love like all that kind of, you know, that type of history, and like true crime and all that kind of stuff. One of the most annoying thing is on the true crime subreddit or like the cult subreddit, when anybody goes drink the Kool-Aid, they always go, actually it was Flavor Aid, and you're just like, oh my god, would you fuck off? But like, how much of a whiny bastard do you have to be? Like,
sort the wheat from the chaff, my friend.
You don't know anything. You got the brand wrong.
It was also it's also in the back of my head, because I remember my leave insert. I think my history project was on Jonestown.
Yeah, I wanted to do mine on the David Ians, and I wasn't allowed. The fucking Waco,
they
Texas.
Just thought it was like, did they just think it was like too bleak? They were
just kind of like, what do you need to know about it? I was like, well, they didn't actually do anything. My thing was like that what they actually were in accordance with the law with the ATF, and the ATF fucked the whole thing up. Anyway, I'm not going to get into a big cult thing, but that was my angle. But my teacher was just pick something else. And then I wanted to do Miley. Because I thought that was one of the biggest atrocities the American government have ever committed, and I was told too dark. And then I wanted to do Pat Finucane, who was shot at his dinner table. He was a solicitor for the IRA, and I wasn't allowed to do that either, because they were just like, well, they never knew who shot him. And I was like, yeah, but I want to do, why would he be shot? And she was like, no, you can't do that either. I was like, am I allowed to do anything that I have an interest in? She was just like, I don't know, do Omaha Beach or something. So I ended up doing the Pacific, some battle in the Pacific War, and I wasn't very much into it.
Yes, war. That's not dark at all.
Especially not the Pacific War. Lads literally fighting with bayonets for most of it.
Christ alive. Like, let's not talk about those internment camps over. Like, nothing bad ever happened there. It was a ray of sunshine.
What did you do yours on? You did yours on Jim Jones?
I did mine on Jim Jones. Nice. I did mine on Jonestown, and
fascinating.
And his thing, and they didn't seem to have much of an issue.
My teacher must have just been really sensitive.
They were like, that's fine, that's fascinating, and they were like, you know how he. All the aspects of it what was interesting, actually. I feel like maybe I don't know what it says about my school, because we actually did have in either TY or fifth year, we did actually have someone come in and like teach us about cults and how not to fall into a cult.
I'd say that was amazing.
It was weird. It was like, I'm thinking about this now, and I was like, what? Were we really susceptible to that? Like, were we like a demographic? Because I was in a deaf school, like, shout out Vincent's on fucking Finglas Road. But I was like, were we susceptible to get indoctrinated into cults?
Here, it's fairly easy. These days, it's proven very easy. Like, even just like, you might not go to the kind of far righty stuff, but the rhetoric definitely channels through the internet. So
absolutely, like you can get fucking the Swifties. Who knows? Like what?
Bringing it all back.
Say that? We looping it back around, but no, I'm not gonna.
Jonestown, though, is fascinating. One of the things that kind of
Incredible.
blew my mind when I started reading about it was, and to be fair, I also listened to a podcast called Last Podcast on the Left who talked about it, and was that he was like a socialist preacher. Like he got like black people into schools, and he got them into eating in restaurants in a Bible Belt town in the 60s in America. It's like he was like progressive, and then he just went off.
It was almost kind of like, if I remember my research now, it was the fascinating thing that he brought a message of unity.
Yeah.
Of like, equality for your fellow man, like equality of the sexes, equality of the races. And like, you're exactly right. Like feeding people and like bringing people into a community.
Yeah.
And then kind of being seen as a threat by the US government, leading to going to Guyana, and setting up like this kind of like whole haven, almost like as a representation of like, this is how an ideal society can live. And then obviously getting a bit,
well, the meth didn't help.
No, and shooting a senator.
Shooting a senator was pretty bad.
that tends to like, you don't look like a guy who comes to investigate, to be like, make sure everything's okay over here.
Yeah.
And as he's leaving, you're like, actually, bang, and then killing him. That doesn't bode well.
What happened was, remember, he was passed a note where they were all in their best behavior on the day. I don't know why but for anybody who doesn't know, basically he went in, there was like 960 people at it or something. It was a huge community, and everybody is on amazing behavior, and he's going like, this is way nicer than I thought it was going to be and what we were led on to believe. And then as he was leaving, he was given a note. I think a child spotted that a note was passed and pointed, there was a note, and then it just went completely haywire. But
and then it was after that, it was like a couple of, was it a day or two?
It was a day or two.
Yeah, it was like a day. It was like that happened, and he like got everybody together and was like, they're all going to come for us, and we will not be able to live in peace now. Yeah. So, who wants a drink? Everybody, that. Yeah,
but the funny thing is that, like, I always find it really kind of annoying when you see the news or you see kind of books, whatever, report that it was voluntary. They had a gun to their head. Like, there was about 20. There's about 20 people who did it voluntarily, but for the most part, the rest of them, no. This is such a bizarre. I did not think we were going to be talking about Jonestown to tail end the podcast.
I told you we were going for 3 hours.
I'll ask you one question before we finish up, because I don't. It's so weird. It's a very simple question because we're coming to the very.
No, I wouldn't have drank the Kool-Aid. I don't like grape flavored things, so
because you work in a record store and you probably get new releases all the time, and we're coming to the very end of the year. What would you say is not necessarily the best record, but what's one of your favorite records that was released this year? And you can say Geese again if it was Geese.
Well, I'm off no. What would it be? I think. What? I'm going to be very because I keep a tally. I keep a tally of these things. As they come through for the albums that I listen to, and my brain is just mush really when it comes to that. So it has to be a case of like, all right, where's my bloody playlists going? I know some honorable mentions for it are that Benjamin Booker album. At the very, very, very start of the year. It was the first one that I was really, really like looking forward to from like a couple of months back to be like, this is going to be like, he had just dropped off the face of the earth for ages. And then he came back and he has this track called Same Kind of Lonely, and it's just so good. And yeah, like that was just an incredible record to really kickstart the year. And then I would say, honestly, I keep coming back to it just because she's an absolute sweetheart. But I do have to give it to like CMAT, for Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like it just kind of seeing a little bit more
I thought you were going to say Taylor Swift there for a second. I was like, don't you dare.
I'm going to loop this back around. Loop it on. We're going to join forces.
Nah, see my rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, see, like, you know, I've always been a fan of hers, and, you know, having the opportunity to meet her and like, chat with her and, you know, get to know her a little bit more. It was really nice to really like have that album come out and listen to it. And before any of the, like, you know, she was on the rise anyway, but like,
yeah.
Hearing that album, and then like outside of just the absolute like shot to the moon stardom that like she is seeing, kind of having that, listening to it on its own and seeing like from like the early EP all the way up to now, and seeing that like maturity and like still having that like quintessential core, like humor and self-deprecation.
Yeah,
like,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's very funny. She's just a very funny person, but also this, you know, glamorous production and this really larger than life production, and just also just hitting, you know, a lot of the things that I resonate with. You know, we're having a similar upbringing, a similar like economic background where we come from, and a similar places that we were brought up in, and meeting kind of characters that we had. It resonated with me a lot more than a lot of other things, mainly because it felt a lot more personal or relative to me. So yeah, I really was just like, you know, that's just good art, man. That's just really good art. It's just like, hell yeah, I see that immediately. I don't need to like delve. I don't need to try and uncover anything. It's all just been presented.
Yeah, there's no bullshit about it, basically. You kind of know that's the real article. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But Adam, that is the end of the podcast. It's been such a, as I said at the very beginning, I knew this was going to be a very fun episode. I was very much looking forward to it. So thank you so much. So just to reiterate for anybody who's listening, the EP is out on the 5th of December.
Mm-hmm.
New music video coming soon.
As soon as it is like render, as soon as I hit render, then the next day, I'm sure it will be there.
And then is it just one more single up and coming then for it as well?
One more single right before.
Lovely.
Right before, just a little taste, just right before.
Great.
And then it is to the world, and then people can have you can have it for your Christmas present. open whatever kid wants when they open their presents under the tree. It is an EP from a Dublin producer called Yuppie.
Well, thank you so much, Adam, for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome.
Lovely talking to you.